In this video, we're going to talk about AI photo editing software. Kind of the good, the bad, maybe the ugly? Who knows? I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. Welcome to my channel. Here we talk about all things photo. That's philosophy, that's business, that's technique. In this case, we're going to talk a little bit about software. Profoto had reached out to me. They are an AI photo editing company, and I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to try this out. You see, I don't do a whole lot of retouching. If you've been following my channel, you probably know that. I have gave up Photoshop several years ago now. I mostly capture using Capture One. I do tweaks, that is, I adjust my contrast, my level, stuff like that to get the image perfected, if you will, color balance. And that's it. Every once in a while, I'll take something out, which I've been able to do in Capture One. But what the AI offers, potentially, is the ability to do mass quantities. And that's what we're going to look at today. So we're going to look at this from a couple of positions. One is, can this replace Capture One even as far as my post goes? Obviously, you can't capture into this, so they can't do that. And if not, what would I use it for, if at all? So I'll go through, I'll give you my thoughts as we go. I'm going to kind of do some quick edits, if you will, so you can see how the software works. I am capturing on my screen over here, which I will show you, and let's do it. Okay, so this is kind of your splash screen, if you will. You've got a sample project that comes with it. I've already made 2 projects here. The reason why is, number 1, I want to look at raw images, and number 2, I want to just see about editing an image that's already been, let's say, exported from Capture One. Let's start with raw. All right, so I've been messing with this, so I wouldn't have to torture you with me figuring it all out. So some of the earlier images are done, so I'm just going to click over here. We'll go a few images in so we can see where we're at. Okay, so we have this image of Cadence here. It's a raw file, straight from the camera. You know the deal. So what I'm going to look at here in this first part is just using this to kind of what I call tweak or edit the images. So we're going to jump over here. I've got, hopefully the sound is still good in this direction. I've got the image editing on the side, this top one. And basically, this to me reminds me a lot of Lightroom. Let me know in the comments below if this kind of looks like Lightroom to you. I haven't used Lightroom in a while. But you've got all this various stuff you can do to it. The only thing I'm probably going to do here is grab the curves. And this is the part that reminds me of Lightroom. And I'm just going to grab my lights. If you've been around for a bit, you know how I like to do this. I bring my lights up till they're almost popping. Then I bring my darks down. I'm actually going to use the shadows here, which I think is would be the blacks in Capture One. And then I'm just going to, let's see, move my darks up a smidge. Move my highlights out to give me more contrast. And there we go. And what's cool about this is, just like Capture One, I can rate these images. If I hit a 3 here, you'll see a 3 appears down at the bottom over here. If I synchronize these, I can put these effects on all of them again. And of course, I can do all the AI photo editing on everyone that way as well. However, I'll just point out that once you start manipulating an image here, what ends up happening is, in order for me to get this out of the computers, I must export it. And in order to export it, you have to use some of the credits you get. So let's take a second and talk about how Profoto works, because that's going to be important here. So basically, the software itself is free, and it seems like it updates every time I open it up. They're constantly adding new stuff to it. And what you do is, you can work with it all you want, but when you would export an image, you need to use a credit. And you get X number of credits depending on what level you buy into. For about $80, you get a little over 1,000, I believe. And you can obviously do bigger packages as well. This is cool because you don't have that upfront cost. You don't have that monthly cost, especially if you're just using it once in a while. But if you don't use the credits, I believe within a year, maybe they'll change that. You do lose them. So it's not like you can buy it once and 6 years from now do an edit. That wouldn't fly. Okay, so that aside, if I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, I can tweak all my images like I normally do and then send them off to the models so they can pick the ones they like, this is not a very efficient use of my credits, because in the end, I'm not going to give the model most of the images. So for me, while you can do this here, and if you know you're going to do this image, it might be worthwhile. I think for batch processing of just the tweaks, unless you're going to deliver them all, I think I wouldn't use this personally. I would use it more for the retouching part, which let's talk about now. All right, so I open up a folder full of images that I've already edited and exported from Capture One. These are small JPEGs, so, it's hopefully going to run fast, but you would do the biggest size, so you could obviously maybe even, the full size files, whatever you're going to actually share, right? And then what we can do is we pop over here, we see we have female selected. It did that automatically. And we have presets. So if you do want to make your own presets or use the ones that are here, you can do that. And that's a good way just to mess around, right? So I could go to like headshot 3. And when I click on it, we see what happened. Okay, this to me is the reason why I would totally walk away from an AI software normally if the presets were all that were available. And that's what we've kind of seen in the past, right? We've seen things where Instagram or whatever, right? Where you throw your image on, you press the button, it's using AI to find the face, to soften the skin, do this, but it's doing it pretty much in an extreme way. And if we go over to the side, we can see all the things it's done. This doesn't work for me. Some of these presets might work for you if you like that style. I recommend making your own presets. This would be standard for me anyways. I would always say that. You definitely always want to make your own presets. So let's start from scratch. I'm going to go up here and just reset all effects. We'll get back to a straight image. Okay, so we're back with our image of Cadence that's just been tweaked, not retouched. And there, you can do some things. You have liquefy. You've got your standard kind of healing brush if you want to do specific things on a specific image. But I want to let the AI do its thing because that's why I would be interested in this. So let's jump over here to the right. And basically what we're going to do is we've got her selected, right? We're going to come over and we're going to look at freckles and acne. So this is probably the one I'm going to use the most. Looks like she has some freckles and stuff going on here or some skin blemishes. And I'm just going to slide this guy up. I've actually found that you need to do a decent amount with this to make it work. In other words, I'm like almost all the ways at 100%. But I think what that really amounts to is it's locating them and then it's kind of doing 100% of like a cover up, which would be the same as if you did 100% of a healing brush, right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to leave a little detail. So I went back to there and now I'm going to see what else might be useful. So there's a face shine option here. Slide that over a little bit because she is a little shiny. It's new. I feel like that's just going to take down the highlight more than I want it to. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that on there. We've got forehead wrinkles, which we don't have in this case. Eye wrinkles, she doesn't have that. Dark circles. There's a tiny bit of, I think it looks natural under her eyes, but let's see what happens if we use this dark circle. I'll put it 50%. Okay, that's not terrible. Again, it's just bringing it back. And what I like to do is, there we go, that doesn't look too bad. Okay, now we're going to go smile lines. I do not want to do anything with that. I like natural smile lines, but let's just do it to see what it looks like. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I think that's part of the reason why it starts to look unnatural. So let's bring that back. Let's just put a touch on there. And let's see what else we have. Neck wrinkles. Okay, so this is something everybody has. So let's drive that over. And actually I think that looks good at 100%. So now, this clearly looks retouched, but it doesn't look completely dollish and fake like that first setting was. So this is pretty cool. I could totally see myself using this like this. Now we do have skin retouching under here where you can do smooth face skin. I think that's the stuff I want to avoid personally. But again, depending on what you're doing, you might like that. You do have rosy complexion. You have body skin smoothing. You have unified body complexion. That could be useful if you have somebody that's got uneven skin tone. That is sometimes nice. Let's see. Facial reshaping. We're not going to use that. Teeth. We can't see your teeth. Eyes. Let's see what happens with the eyes here. Okay, so we can add brightness. This, whoa, okay, no. This can become way too much. Again, be careful with these things. I think that doesn't look too bad. And makeup is kind of fun. I was messing with this before, so I already know. So here, you can actually fully add makeup to somebody if you want. But what we're going to do is we're going to come in and just mess with the lipstick. So I'm going to find a lipstick that's close in color to what she's already got on, like this. And of course, that looks too strong. But I can come in here, and of course you got different texture. You got your various textures. And I can actually just lower it a little bit. Because again, she already has it. So this is just going to bleed through. The reason why I like this is because so many times when you're photographing somebody who has lipstick on, you know, it's like worn off in certain areas and stuff. And this makes it look more even. So while she really didn't have that problem too much here, I think that's a good feature. The final thing I want to mess with here, which I think is very cool. Actually, there's two things. One is the background. This, I think, is one of the most useful features of this entire software. Because here, you can, obviously she's on a plain background, so that makes it easy for the software. But we can separate her off from the background. And basically, what we can do is come in and swap our background out. We can put a black background in. Boom. Easy, right? And we could, you could upload your own backgrounds. You can put different colors if we want pink. You could do that. So what's cool here is you could put like a corporate color. If you've got people, or they want one shot on white, one shot on black, one shot on gray. This way you don't have that issue where they love all their shots on white and then they don't like any of their shots on black. You can literally just use the same shot. And this saves you a lot of time. So this is like a textured background. So for me, I think this is really worthwhile. So here's our black background. That's good. I like that. And then finally, they have this, which is new, which is close wrinkles. Now, look over here. This is where you're going to really notice it. Like over here in these subtle wrinkles. So this big bend in the close, it's not going to fix. But the subtle wrinkles, it seems to do a pretty good job on. And that's pretty nice. And what's cool about this is now that we have one image done, just like any software, we can come over and sync them. So we're going to come up and we will, I've already done this one, so I'll go just to show you. So this is already saying, I already did this earlier, obviously, but if I go back and I reset this, and then we come up here, you can either copy and paste or we can sync the settings. So I will sync these settings. You can choose what you want. I'm going to do all of them, including a crop, which is nice, of course. And one thing I really love about this is if we look at this image at the end here, which is also synchronized, right? We can go over here and look at the before and after, and you can see there's junk in the background. So even though, I used a plain background for this, which obviously maybe wasn't the best showcase, it'll pull stuff out of the background. I haven't tested it on a really complex background, but it seemed to do a great job here, taking out something that was very bright, but still making it look very natural. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, so as I said, this works on a kind of tier system. You buy into whatever tier you want. The basic is you get 1,200 credits, that's 1,200 exports. And by the way, if you export the same image multiple times, it's still one export. And that is $83.99. And it goes all the ways up to 75,000 exports. That's for the big company that's putting out stuff constantly. So what do I think overall here? For me, this seems like a fun tool. I think that it would save me time, but I don't think it's worth it necessarily for me. Why? Well, for me, I edit all my images in Capture One. This would just be for a handful of images that somebody would ask for retouching. It doesn't happen much in my business these days, but when I used to shoot a lot more headshots, corporate, those types of jobs, this would be amazing for. If I was doing a lot of corporate portraits still, if I was doing actors' headshots, if I was doing weddings, if I was doing school photos, if I was doing young kids' sports photos, stuff like that, this would be something I'd want to jump all over. So it depends on your business model. And I think it's like that for all the tools we look at as photographers. Some tools are perfect for your business and not mine. Some are perfect for mine and not yours. If this interests you though, like I said, the software is free. You can mess with it. You do get 5 free exports. You can kind of see what it does. I recommend going in with a raw file, starting from scratch, and then also messing with one of your already pre-exported files. That's the very first thing I did when I decided if I was going to do this video or not. So thanks so much for Avado for reaching out. I love messing with new technologies. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this kind of stuff. Have you ever used it? Are you interested in it? If so, there is a link in the description. Please do follow it. Also down there, you're going to find a link to my Discord server. Check that out. Join the conversation. I'll talk to you soon.